You have spent thousands of dollars and months of planning on this trip. One wrong ride, one traumatized toddler, and the day is functionally over. We went through every ride Disney labels all ages and found 8 that actually deserve that label. Today we're going ride by ride through what Disney's suitability labels actually mean, which ones are a trap, and which ones are genuinely the best thing you can do with a toddler inside these parks. Number 1 skip. Haunted Mansion. Start with what Disney's label tells you. Any height. Now here is what it doesn't tell you. Before you board a single ride vehicle, you are locked in a room. The lights go out completely. Glass-breaking sounds play over the speakers. Other guests scream. A disembodied voice tells you there is no way out. This is the stretching room pre-show, and it happens before the ride begins. For a toddler, this sequence, sudden total darkness, glass shattering, screaming strangers, is the most reliably documented toddler meltdown moment in all of Magic Kingdom parent forums, not the ride itself. The pre-show. The ride that follows runs in near total darkness for its entire length, punctuated by 999 animated ghosts, including the hitchhiking ghosts in the finale, who appear directly beside your ride vehicle in a mirror. Disney labels Haunted Mansion Any Height because it is one of Magic Kingdom's most iconic attractions and the queue demand is enormous. A more specific suitability warning would drive parents to self-select out, reducing Lightning Lane purchases on one of the park's highest revenue rides. The label is not an oversight, it is a business decision. Number 2. Skip. Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean is labeled Any Height and marketed by Disney as a classic family adventure. The IP is beloved Jack Sparrow, swashbuckling pirates, treasure. Sounds manageable. Here is what the first 90 seconds actually deliver. The moment your boat moves, the light disappears entirely. You are in pitch black before the queue area has left your peripheral vision. Within the first minute, your boat drops into dark water. Within 30 seconds of boarding, you are passing skeleton remains. What follows is a cannon battle with sudden loud explosions, visible fire, and smoke. All of this happens before Pirates of the Caribbean has even reached what most adults would call the interesting part of the ride. Disney frames this as a family classic because the franchise is a multi-billion-dollar IP anchor, and the Adventureland queue is one of the most visited corridors in Magic Kingdom, accurately warning parents that the opening 90 seconds are pitch black with cannon fire and skeleton imagery would meaningfully reduce demand. So the label stays vague. And Pirates of the Caribbean isn't even the worst offender on this list. The next one is something Disney actively promotes to families with young children in its own advertising. Number 3. Skip. The Seas with Nemo and Friends. This is the one that surprises most parents because nothing about the Seas with Nemo and Friends looks like it could be a problem. The exterior features the bright orange and blue branding of Finding Nemo. You board a clamshell vehicle with your toddler. The characters are Nemo, Dory, and Squirt. Disney's own promotional material for Epcot highlights it as an ideal experience for young families. And then you go inside, and it is a full dark ride. Near total darkness throughout, with the characters projected onto dark tank walls that disappear when the projection momentarily cuts. The ambient sound is louder than it appears in promotional footage. There is nothing jump scare about this ride, but the sustained darkness in an enclosed space is functionally the same sensory experience for a toddler as the beginning of Pirates of the Caribbean, with the added confusion that Nemo was supposed to be safe. Disney markets Epcot broadly as the ideal park for young families, which inflates parent expectations for every ride here. The all ages label on a dark ride in a family-forward park does more labeling damage here than the same label on Haunted Mansion, because the context makes it feel more trustworthy. That's 3 rides Disney calls all ages that we'd tell you to skip with a toddler. Now here's where it gets interesting because the next 5 actually earn that label, and one of them most families walk right past. Number 4. It's a Small World. It's a small. World is the first ride on this list where Disney's label is simply accurate. The boat moves through brightly lit scenes with hundreds of hand-painted singing dolls representing countries around the world. The pace is slow and entirely predictable. There is no darkness at any point in the ride, no sudden sounds, no animatronic with unexpected movement, and nothing that requires any visual or audio processing that a toddler could find distressing. The song is catchy to the point of being inescapable for the remainder of your trip, but that is a parent problem, not a toddler problem. Disney uses It's a Small World partly as a crowd flow management tool. It has enormous capacity and consistent throughput that helps balance queue pressure in Fantasyland. The toddler friendliness is genuine, one of the rare cases where commercial utility and appropriate labeling happen to align. Number 5. Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Dumbo the Flying Elephant is outdoors in daylight with no enclosed spaces, no darkness, no sudden sounds, and a control in your toddler's hands that lets them raise or lower the elephant themselves. There is no fear factor of any kind. The label is accurate and the design is genuinely appropriate. There is a practical detail most parents don't know until they arrive. The queue includes an air-conditioned indoor play area where your toddler can run, climb, and burn energy while you wait. You get a buzzer. When your number is called, you board. This means the wait for Dumbo is functionally different from any other Disney queue for a toddler family. Disney charges a Lightning Lane premium for Dumbo during peak periods because demand from parents who already know it works is inelastic. They'll pay to secure it rather than risk missing it. The premium is annoying, but in this case it reflects real demand for a genuinely appropriate ride, not manufactured urgency around a misleading label. Number 6. Peter Pan's Flight. Peter Pan's Flight earns the label with one piece of information Disney's website doesn't give you. The ride begins with approximately 30 to 45 seconds of darkness before the aerial scenes over London begin. For a toddler who is not prepared for it, this brief opening can be startling enough to derail the rest of the ride. The fix is simple. Tell your toddler before you board that it will be dark for a moment, and then you'll be flying. Give them that context, and the opening is not a problem. What follows is genuinely magical. Your pirate ship hangs from a track above you. You soar over a glowing nighttime London, and the Neverland scenes are slow, bright, and filled with familiar story moments. Book a Lightning Lane for it. The standby consistently runs 60 to 75 minutes, and a toddler who cannot stand in a long queue is a toddler you are going to lose patience with before you board. The ride after this is the only one on this list where the all ages label is the result of an actual design decision, not a default setting. Number 7. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the holdback reveal. Every ride we've covered so far, the ones that earned the label and the ones that didn't got their suitability rating the same way. Disney applied an any height or all ages label by default, without any documented consideration of whether the ride was actually built for toddlers. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is different. When Disney developed this attraction as the replacement for the Great Movie Ride at Hollywood Studios, toddler accessibility was documented as an explicit design objective. The no height requirement is not a default. It is a design decision. The ride is bright throughout with no dark sequences, no enclosed tunnels, no sudden directional changes, and no drop moments. The trackless format was specifically chosen to eliminate those elements. Every scene features familiar characters your toddler already knows. The result is the only ride in Disney World where the all ages label reflects an actual design brief rather than a commercial default. Most toddlers want to ride it again immediately. Most parents report it as the best single ride decision of their Disney day with a young child. The fact that most families walk right past it on their way to Rise of the Resistance is the most fixable mistake on this list. Number 8. Navi River Journey. Navi River Journey in Pandora at Animal Kingdom is the most visually gentle ride in the entire resort. Your boat drifts through a glowing bioluminescent rainforest lit in deep blues and greens. The audio is soft. Nothing moves suddenly. Nothing is dark in the way that triggers a toddler's fear response. It is glowing rather than dark, which is a meaningfully different sensory experience. The Shaman of Song's animatronic at the end of the ride is one of the most technically sophisticated figures Disney has ever built, and toddlers go completely quiet watching her move. The all ages label here is accurate, and the design is appropriate. The catch is a practical one. Na'vi River Journey consistently has the longest standby wait of any toddler-appropriate ride in the resort. On a busy day, that line hits 90 minutes or more. A toddler in a 90-minute queue is not a toddler who will enjoy the ride at the end of it. Fix this with one of two strategies. Rope drop Animal Kingdom and head directly to Pandora before the queue builds past 30 minutes, or purchase a Lightning Lane. The list is simple. Skip the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, and the Seas with Nemo and Friends with a toddler under 3. The labeling will not change, the darkness will not change, and the meltdown at 9 in the morning will not be covered by your Lightning Lane refund. Add It's a Small World Dumbo, Peter Pan's Flight, with 30 seconds of verbal prep before boarding Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Na'vi River Journey to your list, in that order of toddler reliability. Now that you know which rides are worth your time with a toddler,